Hey book besties, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kate. I talk all about bookish content here on my channel, from reviews to recommendations and everything in between. Today, I'm rounding up the 25 books I want to read in 2025. First up, let's chat about some series that I'm going to be reading. I realize this is a little bit of a cheat, but let's just go with it. I'm starting the Chestnut Springs series this year. I'm actually going to be starting it next month. I'm doing this as a big group buddy read with some of my friends on TikTok. I'm also going to be continuing the Love Light Farm series. I read the first book during Christmas season and absolutely loved it, so I'm excited to continue with the rest of the books. Another series I've already started is the Hello series, which is a plus-size romance book series of standalone interconnected books. I read the first one in the series with a big group of friends on TikTok, and we're gonna do the rest of the series throughout the year. I can't remember how many there are. I don't know, I've got some on my shelf. I don't have the whole collection though. But anyway, we're going to be continuing with this series. A series, listen, I'm not normally a fantasy girly, I'm a thriller girly, so I have some books that are super popular that I haven't read yet. First up is Fourth Wing. I'm so excited to start this series, especially after seeing all the hype with Onyx Storm. I was feeling FOMO for sure, so I'm really excited to get into Fourth Wing. And the last series I'm gonna get started on, ACOTAR. I know, I'm late. Everybody talks about how much they love this. I'm gonna get started on this. I'm going to start though with the Fourth Wing series before I move on to ACOTAR. I've had a couple friends tell me that that's the best way to go, so I trust them. I'm listening to them. One thing about me is I love to do buddy reads, and I already have some planned out for this year. I'm sure there will be more, but here are some that I definitely know of for now. One that I'm actually just started reading is Spells for Forgetting. I'm reading this with two friends. I really only just started. I'm just maybe 5% through. Next is a thriller by an indie author. This author actually reached out to me, sent me her book, and she sent a book to one of my friends too, so we're gonna read it together. That same friend and I, we do a lot of buddy reads together. Her name is April, and we're gonna be reading this book. I am so excited. This might end up being my first Catherine Cowles book. I can't wait. I hear really good things about her books. And I'll be reading this book with a friend. I read my first book by this author at the end of last year, devoured it, loved it, couldn't get enough, so I can't wait to dive into another book from this author. And last up, a couple of my friends are going to be reading Beautiful Ugly. I became an Alice Feeney fan last year. I've heard such good things about this book, and I cannot wait to dive into this. If you scroll through BookTok, you probably get recommended all kinds of popular books, as I have, and there are a few on my list that I need to see if they're worth the hype. This book right here is one I'm going to be reading next month. I hear really great things about this, and I hope that it hits. Another book that everybody was talking about last October is Hidden Pictures. If you know me, you know I love thriller. And this one, I'm hoping it's as good as everybody says it is. I've not really gotten started on Kristen Hanna yet, but this book right here is the one that is most appealing to me. The story sounds like something that I would be interested in. And I'm really excited to read this. I think this one's really gonna do it for me. I'm not a big historical fiction reader. It has to have some of the elements that I like in other novels, but this one I really think is gonna do it for me. Another book that I hear such good things about, Before I Let Go. I've not read a Kennedy Ryan book yet, and I'm excited to dive into some of her works this year. Last year I dipped my toe into dark romance with Butcher and Blackbird, and I'm ready to do a little bit more. And the next book I knew I wanted to read as a dark romance is Hooked. I don't know if I'm going to read this series in order. I know this is the first one. I mean, it's a standalone series, so I can read it how I want to, but I'm definitely gonna start with this one. I'm excited about this. I used to watch Once Upon a Time, And Killian, I loved him. So I'm hoping that like this will kind of give the same vibes, but darker. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And another book that I hear everybody talk about how much it rips your heart out is Still Beating. I've not read a Jennifer Hartman book yet. I've heard she can like rip your heart out and then put the pieces back together. So I think that's how this is gonna be. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. I've got my eye on some romance books for this year. So I have another Catherine Cowles book. One of my friends told me this is a good book to start with for her. I'm really hoping this year I'll be entering my Catherine Cowles era, because I hear she writes romantic suspenseful romance, however you say it, and that sounds right up my alley. So I'm excited to read this one. Another book is After I Do. I've only read 2 Taylor Jenkins Reid books. I read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, of course, but last year I read One True Loves. I love that book so much, and I feel like this one's gonna have a similar vibe. At least that's what I'm hoping for. I want to read this book. I've heard good things about this author, but I haven't read any of her books yet. I actually chatted with her a little bit on TikTok a while back, and I'm excited to read some of her books this year. And this one is a sapphic romance. It sounds super cute. I'm trying to branch out with some of my reading and read more LGBTQ plus works, and this one sounds really good. Last but not least, let's talk about some thriller books that I want to read this year. There are a lot more, but these are 5 that I definitely want to get to. First, I have Home Before Dark. I don't know about this one in particular. I have 2 other Riley Sager books on my shelf, so I might pick one of those up. But either way, I do need to read another Riley Sager book. I picked up my first book from him last year, The Only One Left. It turned into one of my favorite thriller books. I loved it so much, so I can't wait to read more from him. Next is That's Not My Name. I have heard so many good things about this book. I'm so excited to read it and see what all the hype is about. A new author that I really want to check out is Shanora Williams. This book sounds really good. I've heard that her books sort of hit like Frida McFadden books, which I love. So yeah, I'm hoping that she becomes a new auto-buy author for me. I read my first Lucinda Berry book last year, When She Returned. This one sounds really good. It has an element in it that's personal, I think, to my life, so I'm excited to dive in. Yeah, I need to read more from her. I can't believe I haven't read another one since I read When She Returned. The last book is a book that's been on my TBR the longest. Local Woman Missing. I need to get to this year. My sister told me to read this 2 years ago, and I've been slacking. So yeah, I need to get to this. I'm excited to see if it lives up to the hype. Thank you for joining me. Happy reading, besties.